Welcome back, guys. Yeah, we're having a bit of a banter in the studio here. We're talking technology today with women and how women can get involved in science and technology. Thanks for coming here today. This is Dr. Shonuga.
Thank you for having us.
The famous one, if you watched the inauguration of President Buhari, remember the poem? Yeah, she was the one. Thank you very much. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Of course, we have it for Achievement Nigeria. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Now let's talk. We're talking about Intel now and how they are trying to connect women and girls and educate them about
Technology.
IT basically.
Yeah.
What is why Intel? Why women?
Well, so the SHIELD Connect program came to be out of a desire to bridge this gender gap online. So Intel had commissioned this study and found that in developing countries, there are 25% less women online than men. Now, when you get to sub-Saharan Africa, that number is 45%, which is alarming. So you think about 200 million plus voices that aren't heard because they don't have the tools, they don't have the awareness, they're simply not connected online. So She Will Connect came to try to bridge that gap. And by doing that in collaboration with NGOs like Junior Achievement Nigeria and others that already exist who are doing this work on the ground, Intel wanted to give them the platform and the momentum behind the work that they're already doing so that more women and girls feel as though they are part of a conversation, a global conversation that's already happening.
Yeah. It's interesting, I mean, you're a poet,
Yes.
award-winning poet.
Yes.
IT.
Well,
what made you so interested in this?
I'm also an engineer, a civil engineer. So I studied civil engineering. So I also have a science and technology background. And poetry started off as a hobby and became this thing that I could merge both things together. And to be honest, a lot of the things that have happened to me because of poetry have happened online.
Yeah.
And so if I wasn't connected to this global network, if I wasn't on Twitter or Facebook, if I didn't know how to send an email, those things never would have happened. And so technology, for anybody in the age that we live in, is a huge part of everything that we do.
Definitely.
So that's why technology.
Junior Achievement is quite popular, and it's, I mean, we've known it for a while. Why are you involved with She Will Connect? What made you interested in it?
About 3 years ago, my board members came together and had a strategic discussion, and they wanted to reach 1 million students by 2020. Now, mind you, till now, we've reached over 500,000 students. So what they were saying was, okay, how do we get to that number in 5 years than what we've done in 15? And the answer was ICT. So when Intel approached Junior Achievement and said, hey, we want to reach out to women and girls, it just went in line with our vision and mission to address our 3 pillars of entrepreneurship, work readiness, and financial literacy. Yeah. So it was just the right fit.
Yeah, I was going to ask that, why IT though? Because it seems like, I mean, we all know that IT is a new frontier. You know, it's a lot happening. A lot of billionaires in the world have come from there.
Definitely.
A lot of jobs are created worldwide from IT.
Definitely.
But why IT though in Nigeria?
Especially with entrepreneurship, you know, entrepreneurs, they need IT to actually grow their businesses. Let's talk about e-commerce.
Yeah.
Let's talk about marketing. Let's talk about even operations in business. It's important for them to be able to learn how to use the computer, learn how to send an email, learn how to read memos and do flyers. So these are things that She Will Connect trained women and girls that we reach out to in schools and in out-of-school settings to be able to give them that knowledge that they need.
Okay. Sissy, there's this sort of, I don't know if you call it a myth or a belief that, you know, the IT space is for men. I mean, you hear most of the CEOs in Silicon Valley are men or young men or people who dropped out of university.
Definitely.
Mostly guys anyways. Why, is that why women are targeted here? Is there a need to push? If
Absolutely, because even when I said I wanted to study engineering, I can't tell you the amount of people that said, women engineering, you know, why don't you, you know, and so culturally we have this perception that women only have one particular role in society, and I think it's doing us a disservice because there's like the world is big. And there's so many different options. And once you are exposed to these options, you can't forget them. And so the role of She Will Connect really is to show these girls the options, show them other women who are doing amazing things in the field of science and technology. You don't have to just be in the kitchen. You can you can be in the kitchen and you can be promoting your work in the kitchen online or whatever it is. And so I think it's so important because women have, I always say women have a Midas touch. And so what happens when you invest in a girl is that historically she goes back and reinvests in the community and the family that she comes from. So what you're actually doing when you're training a girl is that you're empowering that entire community that she represents. So it's not just about one girl, it's actually about a whole bunch of people who depend on her.
Yeah. How old is the program now?
It started in 2013, and since that time, She Will Connect, I say they, but we now have been able to reach 13,000 girls, which is a drop in the bucket. If you think about the goal to reach 5 million by 2020. You know, so 13,000 doesn't seem like a lot, which is why it's so important to continue to be like a town crier for the cause and try to use my voice to make people realize that if you know somebody, a girl, who could benefit from this program, sign her up. You know?
Let's talk a little more specific now. Let's talk about the age. Is there an age limit to who can get in the program, and how does it work specifically when you target them?
Okay. We usually work with students from probably like 13 to 25, if I'm not mistaken. And what we do is we train trainers. So we have a situation where my staff was able to get trained through Intel, and then the staff then in turn train teachers and other outreach workers and people in other community groups. So what they in turn do now is train the women and girls from either in school or out of school. And then once they get that information, then they can implement it. If the girls are in school, then they're able to use it within their courses and moving forward with their lives. And those that are out of school, they can use that right away.
And we should mention that She Will Connect, Intel actually has a curriculum that the NGOs help to carry out. So there's an actual program that's dedicated to teaching girls how to use
Do you work with schools or with individuals?
We work with NGOs. And then the NGOs disseminate it to the girls.
Okay, so how do you work now? Do you work with the schools, or do you go to specific girls? Like, how does that happen?
Junior Achievement currently, we have a relationship with 600 schools across the country.
Okay.
So once Intel brought this initiative to Junior Achievement, we now reached out to the teachers. We now even reached out to corporate volunteers to then to disseminate it into the schools.
Okay.
Yes.
So who's training the guys though?
Did you not listen? The girls, you guys already have a head start.
He will connect.
No, there's no need.
Well, it's okay. I'm sure we still get by somehow. Let's talk. You mentioned something earlier about the gender gap and the need to push women. Why do you think that's the case? And it's not just in ICT. I think it's in every sphere. Is it, besides culture now, because it's not just a Nigerian thing, is there something that we're doing wrong generally, or something we should be doing, you think?
I mean, there's a mixture of things. Culture is a big thing, but it's also proximity and like access to the things that you need, and even the cost of it. So so She Will Connect will go ahead and train these girls, but an important part of that is also making sure that once you've trained a girl on how to use technology, she actually needs the device with which to connect. And so a lot of people can't afford that, and there's a huge barrier when it comes to that as well. And so you're dealing with the ideas that you can't do certain things, and then you can't afford to do those things, and you have no training to do them, and all those things come together to create this perfect storm where you're just left out of the conversation.
What kind of challenges do you face when you when you're dealing with girls? Is it any different from dealing with boys?
Actually, I don't see much of a difference besides the energy level. But with dealing with girls, a lot of them are eager, they want to learn, and they even have extra ideas that they want to put in. Like, for example, I was over at a school and they were teaching, okay, how do you do a flyer for a business? And then they come up with their own ideas. It's a bit more trendy. And like she said, you know, by the time the girl is able to get the internet access and ICT capabilities, she's able to take that into her business. She's able to take that back into her daily life. So it's
But what's the interest level though?
They're very interested. Like the interest level is high, especially with the out of school youth. And even students that come out of the university and don't really know much about Microsoft Office, for example, or certain aspects of the internet. They still want to learn more about ICT, even post NYSC.
Okay.